Hey, today I'm going to be talking about the three archetypes that women are most attracted to. The silver fox, the jock, and the pretty boy. So a lot of people don't understand how attractive the George Clooney type guy is to all types of women. I mean, it's really about aging gracefully. And the ideal looking guy that women actually rated a perfect 10 has the qualities of all three archetypes. He's got a little bit of the best of everything put together in a way that women near unanimously, enough to statistically on an actual rating site get a perfect 10 out of 10 score. It's the first ever one. Anything that you see that's a 10 out of 10 besides this photo right here is fake. It's not real. This is the only 10. If you see any other dude, he's a 9.8, okay? Statistically, the way statistics works is like each level there's a bigger gap going up. So like the difference between a 3 and a 4 out of 10 guy isn't that big. It's not really that big a deal. But the difference between 7 and an 8 is really big. Like there's a bigger difference between the 7 and 8 versus the 3 and the 4. So the difference between a guy that's a 9.8 and a perfect 10 is like the distance between Earth and Venus. Like that's how big of a gap it is between 9.8 and 10. So don't think of it as like you have to look exactly like him to be attractive. Don't think of it like that, because just look at him. He's not like you're not going to come close. What you can do is you can go to Face App or any face averaging software, and you can like average his face with yours, and it'll tell you exactly, what you need to improve on to, make yourself better looking. So I highly recommend doing that, and we'll continue with the video. So we're just gonna go through a small little slideshow of what these men were rated as, and how attractive women find them, and you can see what they look like. Now, not every single guy that fit these archetypes is attractive. We have the counterexamples of the guys that fit these archetypes, but women rated them as ugly. So I will get to them when the slideshow is over. So these three men represent their respective archetypes. However, they were all rated as being very ugly as by women. So it's fairly obvious for the wannabe silver fox and the evil looking jock. It's fairly obvious why women didn't find them. It's fairly obvious why they're not attractive, the first two. The pretty boy on the right, though, a lot of guys would say, oh, what do you mean? Just look at him, he slays. No, women, there's a subjective factor to looks as well as the objective. And all factors need to be accounted for, like a Venn diagram relationship. Like everything has to flow evenly. And the women gave him a ugly rating on multiple photos because they can pick up on the fact that he's like a framelit. You can tell when you look at his frame that he's 5'6", and he doesn't have like the right type of aesthetic. Like he looks too much like an actual woman for women to find him desirable. Like that, and that's simply it. If he was bigger, he would get a higher score. So this guy has the same aesthetic in terms of looking like the ugly pretty boy looks like a fairy, and the actual attractive pretty boy looks like an angel. So they have the same sort of aesthetic look going on. One guy pulls it off better though, because the other guy is way taller, he's way bigger. He has these sort of subjective factors going for him that the other guy doesn't. And I'm going to get into that next, the objective subjective factors. I call them that because they've been studied extensively. And they're documented on the Black Pill Wiki. They're just very esoteric and not well known, because they're the sort of emotional aspect of looks, where it's not really rational why women are attracted to this. They just are, because the person that has these type of subjective traits looks like they have a certain personality that women find desirable. So the objective and the subjective have to blend together to be attractive. So you could have a guy, right, that other men don't see as attractive, like, or can't recognize his attractiveness. Like, they don't see him as a threat, and the girls are just all over him. And then there would be another guy that everybody can tell, like, he's a threat, like, and they could be of similar attractiveness and you don't even know it. So moving on. I'm not saying that if a guy's tiny or short, that automatically makes him unattractive. We have multiple short guys on file as being very attractive, but they don't look short. We actually have a midget, right? We have a midget Chad. This is midget Chad, and midget Chad did well. Like, if your face is built in such a way that, you look like your name is Chad, you're gonna score well, like, universally. Like, it's just that simple. I'll make another video on that. There is an objective reason why women are attracted to Chad. It's because he has this ideal amount of mutational load, where he's got this ideal amount of attractive mutation, and that's really it. He's not, yeah, I can't, there's no way else to articulate it. He's got this optimal level of mutational load. So, where he has these attractive traits that blend together. That Chad look does so well. You can even have a fake looking morph of just a guy that looks like his name is Chad, and it'll top the charts. That's how much women are attracted to this archetype, and why it's gotten so viral, and everybody from all over the world knows exactly what this is. So, moving on. A lot of guys these days are like looks maxing hard, and some are getting surgery, and men need to be aware of how much improvement they need to be to actually be attractive to women. A lot of these guys think, oh man, if I just get a bigger jaw, then I'm gonna go from a 5 to an 8. And women are too picky for that. They're so picky that you need a drastic change in your appearance. You need like 3 or 4 surgeries if you're a 5 to get this like ultra model look. So you need to have a Tony Mafood story, or Mafood, however you pronounce his name, where before you're 5, and then afterwards you're not recognizable at all. You don't look like the same person. You look like you have a totally different personality. Like that before you is like your little brother, that is your little half brother. Like, there's almost no resemblance. So when you get to these actual studies on masculinity versus femininity. So this is from the most popular mainstream masculine versus feminine study that everybody knows about, due to viral videos being done on it. And This one gets the most attention. Now, the other studies, right, that are on this topic only have objectively masculine versus objectively feminine. And when those studies are rated by women, there's no statistical difference. So this study, though, is different. On this chart, women unanimously chose the most masculine man on the far left and the short-term mate as the most sexually attractive. Because this is objective and subjective masculinity combined together versus, objective and subjective femininity combined together. You can see the guy on the far right has a submissive facial expression. The guy on the far left has a confident facial expression. Those are things that are subjective that women are attracted to. Women are attracted more to the confident facial expression than the submissive one. We have that on file. So what I want to say is a lot of people that are around this topic are autistic. So they hate the emotional aspect that women are attracted to in a man's appearance. They hate the fact that women see, they think in their minds like, wait, just because his hair is darker and he's got a slight smirk and he's got this more dominant looking personality, that women are finding him more attractive than just big bones. Oh, my big bones. Like, it's they're taking this they're taking it, they're like Spock in the sense that they try to be so rational and exclude the emotional part instead of just blending it to understanding that it's a blend. It's a blend. So these are the other studies that I put them all here that we had rated. So our research matched the studies. So our fact checks. So in every other masculinity versus femininity where only the objective factors were changed, the more masculine face was seen as he got a couple more yeses. It wasn't statistically significant. Like it's a large change for like a not, it wouldn't matter in real life. Like it's not significant. There was one study though where it was really significant, and this is from the heritability study on the heritability of looks, and I'll do a video on that. I will get to that. The more masculine face was way more attractive than the more feminine face, again because the subjective factors were a part of the researchers choosing which masculine males to morph together versus which feminine males to morph together, which is accurate. Masculinity comes in packages. It's, if a guy has a masculine big bones, what are the chances that he's going to also look like he has a submissive personality? Like, what are the chances that he's gonna be this big submissive looking giant? Like, you know what I'm saying? This comes in packages. That's more accurate. It's more accurate that, okay, if he's got jock bones, that he would have a jock personality, if not by genetics, by socialization, because they would push him toward that role because that's what he looks like. So the autistic extreme black and white or the extreme thinking is it can work, but it just leads to confusion when you really get down to the nitty gritty of what is actually going on. It's the blended Venn diagram situation. Now, instead of extreme middle, extreme right, extreme left, so what's causing most of the variants. Let me explain. The guy, the top row is the masculine. The bottom row is the feminine, the more feminine. So, at least less masculine. Let's put it that way. It's two separate scales. So, which also gets confusing. There's so a guy can be high masc and low femme, or high masc and high femme. So that plays a factor too. So the guy on the far left and those two guys, that was from the heritability study I'm talking about. So that is a really big difference. And it's because symmetry. So if you go to any app and you perfectly symmetricalize a face, your face, somebody else's face, right down the middle, it will masculinize the face regardless of gender, and as a side effect. So the symmetry is what's causing him to get that 7.5, and it's perceived as being masculine. So certain healthy trait, being healthy, overly healthy, is perceived by the brain as being a masculine characteristic. So if you see a girl that's 5'9", has chiseled chins, chiseled jaws, chiseled bones, and has a very symmetrical face, like a supermodel. A lot of supermodels are capped on for, looking like trannies. And then there's supermodels that, have all the aforementioned traits, the angularity, the big bones, the tall height, and they're rated as being super attractive because those traits aren't actually masculine traits. The brain is just getting it wrong. They're gender neutral because girls can be tall, girls can have chiseled bones, girls can look like this. They can't have facial hair, right? That's not, what I'm saying? So that's different, but they can have, long ramises and stuff like that. So, and the girl on the screen, by the way, was rated a 10. We have 2 10s on file. One is an older female. This is the young female that was rated 10. If you see any girl that was rated 10, it's fake, okay? We had to do a lot to get this girl to a 10. She was 9.8 originally. Her original face is Jason Statham's wife, and now she kind of looks like Cara Delevingne, or Carla Darvine, whatever, however you pronounce her name. So the symmetry has a side effect of making it more masculine. So that's from the heritability study, and I will get to that. The more women were in that particular, the study on heritability and attractiveness, the more attractive woman was rated, way more attractive than the unattractive woman. And so it was 70% genetic. And then for men, attractiveness was it was 70% heritable from the parents. And then for men, it was 10% heritable from the parents, because the looking beautiful, having beautiful features on a male made him slightly more attractive than the ugly male. However, the symmetry, the symmetrical parents made the attractive male. So there is a sort of dichotomy between that, and I will explain that more. So symmetry is very important for male aesthetics, not necessarily so much for female aesthetics, because it will have a side effect of making them look a bit more masculine, which kind of bars them from being top tier, but it can still make them look like a model or an Instagram thought, So again, Venn diagram. The guys in the middle, those are just like the objective masculine versus objective feminine. And then the guys on the far right, that's autistic at the top. So the autistic face is more masculine. And the anti-autist, no autistic whatsoever, is at the bottom. And that face looks more feminine, at least less masculine. And statistically, there is no significant difference between their attractiveness. 6.4 versus 6.7. 6.7 in the favor of the non-autistic. So, there was no the autistic face actually had a girl comment, "I would date them." You know how girls can be. So in terms of their sex appeal, in terms of their physical sexiness, the autistic men are not ugly. They're not. It's their subjective, like their trust. You can see their trust is significantly low. So they're having a trust phalo. Trust is at 3.3, and the anti-autist is 5.5. That is statistically, that's a 2-point difference, more than a 2-point difference. That is statistically significant. So it's the no empathy, aggressive look, the intense gaze that is causing the physical phalo. And I've seen panels of autists talk about having autism. A lot of them are very clumsy. They don't get into sports. So not like, they don't really, there's like a grooming, I wouldn't say a health issue, where they're more likely to be sedentary, and have like weight issues. I've seen some are like way too skinny, and then like others like they're kind of overweight. But in terms of the innate aesthetic, no, they're innately lower trust looking on an objective subjective level. People can pick up on, okay, something ain't right here. So and go over what a beard can do for you. There's a big bearded guy on the left, and then that's me with the big beard on the right. Now, as you can see, this is my highest rated picture, one on the right, 7.4. Now, my beard looks like super asymmetrical, like one side's way thicker than the other, and it's a bunch of different colors, because I was trying to get it like dyed silver, like bleached silver, and the hair was like falling out and everything. It was terrible, but like it still had a decent aesthetic because there's just so much hair, and the way my hair grows is like big mountain man hair. So it's like it still looked pretty good. I would have gotten like an 8.4 if I had actually tried to get that look. That's just how it turned out, like me just fucking around. Like if I actually tried, I would probably got an 8.5. Now, for those of you watching this, you have to understand that the beard it can do a lot depending on who you are. It's an objective and subjective quality. The guy on the left, okay, he would have gotten the same score or higher as me if he wasn't like a regular dude. Like if you look at him, he looks like a regular guy with a big beard. Well, I look like a lumberjack with a big beard. So it matches. I have a more matching aesthetic than he has. If he had that lumberjack build and rest of his face, he would have done way higher, because he would have been perceived to have that I wave the American flag and I'm willing to go to war personality. So as you can see, so that's me on the left, really thin and with the short beard, trying to look like a hyper dom male model, and girls weren't feeling it. They weren't messing with it. So you have to have that right type of look that fits, the bone, right? You have to have that type of bone, and you have to, that has to actually be your phenotype, your underlying who you are genetically to a certain extent for you to be able to pull that off. I did much better when I had some weight on me. I was, lifting weights, and I had the big beard that made me look like a lumberjack. Now, for those of you that don't know, I did take steroids because I had I took testosterone and trenbolone because I actually had a hormonal condition. And so there's this sort of, I had to do, it's not natural the way I look. I did have hormonal intervention. So I would have looked a lot different if I hadn't done that. So, and it's not for everybody, but if you got nothing to lose, I would recommend it. Especially if you're desperate. I would say if you think you need surgery, then you need surgery. There's no way in the world you're gonna look in the mirror and be like, if you're look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I need a bigger jaw, go get that bigger jaw, but don't stop there. Don't say, okay, don't think that because you got a bigger jaw, you're gonna go from a 5 to a 8. That's not how this works. You can go that far if you have a beard and you have the right type of surrounding aesthetic, sure. That extra, but the effect is cumulative. The more traits you put on yourself that women find attractive, the more, it's gonna compound, and you want this to be a lifelong thing, man. It doesn't stop. It isn't like, oh, I got this, now I'm good looking, now I can stop. No, you have to keep moving forward. It's a constant struggle to maintain. It's like keeping a balance, it's a grind, and you have to have resilience to just keep doing this your whole life, to be honest, to keep just moving forward or maintaining. So once you find a look that suits you, like I said, try the big beard first, and go to an actual rating site to get rated by real women. Don't just have some, guy rate you that, may or may not know what he's talking about. And even if he does, he's not a woman, so he doesn't have that emotional aspect. He only has the rational. So you're going to get more accurate results going to a rating website and having actual females rate you based on that first impression instinct. So, all right, so we're looking at, as you get older into the silver fox range, the beard and the head hair weigh significantly more than the facial aesthetics at that age. So once you hit 45 plus, if you don't really have that much aesthetics going for you, but you have great hair aesthetics and beard aesthetics, that can boost you. I mean, this is a ridiculous amount. You're going into a whole new bracket. So in terms of the silver fox thing, most silver foxes are not slaying young girls, because even though women find this man attractive, there's still the fact that the intersexual competition factor of, is this silver fox 50-year-old dude gonna get in the shouting match with a 20-year-old guy that wants to date this 20-year-old girl? No, that's not gonna happen. So he's not necessarily a threat, but in terms of the life quality, he's gonna be doing better than somebody that isn't a silver fox that's the same age as him. So it's definitely something you have to transition into, or you're gonna see your life, take some dips. So the most important, you just need the beard. Technically, the silver beard is the main thing. The head hair, if you don't have it, it will just lower your trust and smarts, but your attractiveness can stay the same. So, or it will be slightly lower. So again, it has to match, your other surrounding aesthetics have to match. So it's sort of like, you don't have to be the best looking guy, but at the same time, you're going to be better looking than other guys your own age. That's for sure. So, that's all I wanted to say on this subject. I'm working on putting out the heritability study of attractiveness. I'm gonna let you guys know right now that it's 70% genetic for women, the heritability of looks, physical attractiveness, 10% for men, because women are just that picky. Women are just that picky. Symmetry is like, it's ridiculous. Symmetry, so physical attractiveness, we'll just say beauty, right? So beauty in a woman is like female's attractiveness, a woman's attractiveness is like feminine or beauty. It's like physical, it's like pretty, it's like looking like a pretty girl, I guess you could say. And then 10% is looking like that, like a male version of that. So like if you have two beautiful parents, like two objectively attractive parents, you're going to have objectively attractive features, but those features are youthful and they make you look young. So that's not necessarily going to help you as the male. Symmetry is what helped the male. So, and certain masculine qualities. So if the face is perfectly symmetrical, it'll look more masculine as a side effect. And then overall morphological masculinity in its objective and subjective factors will increase attractiveness. You can be masculine and ugly at the same time, like George Floyd, but like that's mainly based on the ratios and proportions as being off versus, the masculinity, like the size. Like if we took his face and changed the shape, but not the size, then we could make him way more attractive and he would still look just as manly. So I will be going more in depth over that. But that's for a different video. See you guys later. So as you can see, you can be a pretty boy, and as long as you have the right shape and the right aesthetic and the right, bone, whatever, like, you can be very attractive to women. You don't have to be this ultra masculine dude, although that can work too. It's pick an archetype. Don't be a guy that's archetypeless, where you're not a pretty boy, you're not a silver fox, you're not a jock, you're not those are the three main ones. There's stoners, there's emo, there's punk, but those are the first three I said. Those are the main ones that you're going to need to be throughout your whole life if you want to stay attractive to women or be attractive to women at all, as you get older. As you age, the beard, especially a silver beard and a full head of hair, become more important than your objective facial features or whatever. So when you're young, as a male, your objective facial features are highly important, and the subjective features are important too. And then as you get older, around 40 plus, the subjective traits, especially the beard and the silver beard and the silver hair, get more priority. And the beard in general is objectively and subjectively masculine. So it can make, like, the little kid on the left, he was 16, he wasn't getting rated. He was getting skipped. So the women were like, no, he's too young. All we had to do was give him some facial hair, put some facial hair on him, and now he's anything 8 plus is international. Anything 8 plus is international supermodel level. So, which is what he is, even without the facial hair. So you don't need to be manly necessarily. You can be flamboyant, pretty boy, and girls will find you attractive. And will that get you more pussy? Maybe if the guy, because that's girls like that, Latin lover type, romantic guy. Like, in this community, they say don't give a girl flowers or don't give her hearts. Don't say I love you. If a guy has the right look, like if he looks like the type of guy that would say those things, then there's nothing wrong with that. It's only if the guy's like archetypeless or looks like a jock and saying those things that they're gonna leave. Because if he's a jock, the girl's with him because he's a jock. So if he's saying those like overly emotional things, that's gonna clash with the archetype. If it's overly emotional, like, which that would be, that's overly romantic for a jock to be doing that. So the emotional aspect of looks is really, really powerful. In some cases, it can overpower the rational, objective case. The paraplegic example in front of you. The man and the woman, they're missing their limbs. Emotionally, this tears at the heart, and you have what's called an id and a superego. Okay? So the superego is like the angel on your shoulder. The id is the devil on your shoulder. And when you make these aesthetic judgments, the brain mediates between these two. So the, wounded bird is, triggers the superego. So the person can look more attractive because they look like such a good person or what have you. So women respond to this emotional, superego driven state more than men do. So women will halo, paraplegic guys that have pro-social deformities, like Treacher Collins. Yes, Jono Lancaster has this girl not in spite of his condition, because of his condition. That's what people need to understand. We have a book that is coming out on all of this stuff. It's about 80 pages so far, and it's just, don't worry, it's big text and photos, so it's not like you need to be 2 million IQ to understand it or whatever, and it's not word heavy, it just tells it like it is. So looks, there's a bell curve where once you get down low enough, you can either you get the sympathy factor essentially. Once you get down low, it's like, oh wow, you get the pity, the pity sex or whatever. But it's like, okay, there's multiple girls giving these guys pity sex, so it's not like it's a 1 in a million girl thinking like that. No, it's a very large amount. Jono Lancaster, when we ran him, he was getting 5.5 in attractiveness, so that's a point higher than the average guy, and he was scoring super trust and smarts until some girl reported it due to the fact that it emotionally triggered her so much. I personally, I wear all white. I wear a neck brace and a sling, and I try to be pro-social, smiley. I also have anti-social pictures because you have both. So you want to be able to satisfy a girl's id and her superego. That's the freaky side and the polite side. So keep that in mind. So wearing all white makes you look like a better person, especially if you're ugly. It will. Nikolai Valuv does that a lot. So Nikolai Valuv does that a lot. So it obviously does something for him. He does understand, look, I look like a monster, but if I wear all white, I look a little bit nicer. So thank you for listening, and looks max out. Looks max to the max. See ya. So most men on the planet are built for intrasexual competition. So what that means is you're fighting other men and intimidating other guys so they won't take your girl. So for most men are built not necessarily to be attracted to women, but to intimidate men so that, you know, they can, you know, keep other rival guys from their girl. And this has the type of guy that is successful at this isn't going to, he may be ugly, he may not be ugly. It depends. So ultimately though, that's what we're built for. You know, if an ugly guy like Nikolai Valuv, you know, no guy is going to, you know, try to get at his girl because the man is too intimidating. That's how historically we've done things. Now, and arranged marriages and bride napping, actually being directly attractive, that direct seducer, romantic, pretty boy, that's not really most people. I've done the research. Most of those guys that are like that naturally are bisexual, or at the very least flamboyant, effeminate, which may not actually be a bad thing because that is correlated. Flamboyant behavior is correlated with the most sexual partner count. Male porn stars have the most sex. Straight male porn stars have the most sex. They're not really straight. I'm sure some of them are, but they're fruit, you know. But those are the guys that slang. If you see a guy and he's attractive and he has no known girlfriends, but he's happy all the time, you know, there's something's up. Especially in Hollywood, but that's for another video. So what we have here is, even though the guy on the left had the most attractive score, right, like women found him the most sexy, his, you know, in business, he's not the ideal guy. So he's not the most intrasexual, or I should say he's not the most intimidating guy, basically. So he's not, you know, he's probably not going to scare off. You're probably not going to, you know, if you're talking to a girl and you find out that this guy is the boyfriend, you're not really going to be scared. You're not going to be like, oh, let me get the hell out of here. But the guy on the right, on the other hand, you might think twice before, you know, fucking his girl, because that guy's pretty big. That's like, you know, he looks like he's 400 pounds of raw muscle, man. Good luck with that. So if I put more votes on him, he might actually end up getting a 10 in influential, which is like dominance, like getting what you want out of life. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the love and support. That's all I had for you today. Hit that notification button. Hit that subscribe button. Go follow Facing LMS. Go follow 5-4. Type in The Truth Hurts, all one word. And I'll holler at you later. Peace.